Welcome to SolFul Connections, where we skip the small talk and head right into the soul talk. I'm Amanda Solar, and each week we share the kinds of stories that remind us we're not alone. It's about being human, raw and unfiltered, just real talk. Let's connect.
Connection.
So I am here with Marques Ogden, and I am so excited, Marques, to learn more about you. I've learned a little bit about you, but I want to know more. Welcome to Soulful Connections. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
For those of you who don't know what you do, can you share a little bit about what you do today?
Yeah, my name is Marques Ogden. I am a national, international keynote speaker. I am a business coach. I am a corporate consultant. I'm a best-selling author. I'm also a podcast host. I have a podcast called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. June of this year is our 4-year anniversary. Our podcast was released on June 22nd, 2022. And I am also a former NFL athlete as well.
So, Marques, what is your message? What is the message that you really want to convey?
So one of the big messages, Amanda, I want to convey is how people need to develop the bison mindset, or I call it the bison mentality. So the bison is the only animal that charges directly into the eye of the storm. The bison believes that the only way or the fastest way out of a storm is through a storm. And I tell people constantly, in life, you can't run from your problems. You just can't, because if you try to run from a problem, at some point, it will catch up with you. At some point, it will, rear its ugly head. So you might as well face the problem, face the challenge head on like a bison. And I tell people, what happens is you need to learn how to live with the Bison acronym. B is boldness. I always tell people, fortune favors the bold. The more bold you are, the more innovative you are, the more cutting edge you are, the more likely you are to be successful and achieve what your heart desires. The I is integrity. Live your life where you don't even think about anybody looking at you or not. You live the same way. Whether somebody's watching you or they're not watching you, live your life with purpose and integrity. Always treat others the way they deserve to be treated. The S is self-awareness. Whatever you do well, that's fantastic. What you don't do well, work on yourself and try to develop a better way of doing it so you can become the best version of yourself. The O is ownership. When, not if, when, right, Amanda, you make a mistake, own it, fix it, move on. And the N is never, ever quit. Under no circumstances can you quit. The only way you lose in life, the only way, is if you quit. If you're still in the game, if you're still trying to push through, work through challenges, then you're going to be okay. But the minute you quit because you feel, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. Oh, I'm not getting any traction. Nobody's watching my podcast. Nobody's looking at my content. Nobody's liking it on social media. I always tell my clients, just because nobody's liking it doesn't mean they're not seeing it. So what you have to do is don't worry about the vanity or the numbers. Worry about the message. I always tell people, focus on the output, not the outcome.
This is so fascinating. First of all, Marques, my approach has been sometimes the ostrich, and it doesn't stand for anything. It's just me putting my head in the sand, because sometimes when there's something really big, I don't feel like a bison, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so curious, when you were a little boy, was this always who you were? Were you always somebody who just said, yep, got a problem, going to face it. Where did this come from? And can you share a little bit about what you were like when you were young?
So, absolutely not. When I was young, I did not charge directly to the eye of any storm. I ran from problems. I would always look for an easy way out. And what I realized is that in life, when you do these things, when you're constantly looking for the easier way, the shortcut, looking for a problem to pass you by, life always gives you what you don't want, which is like, nope, you want the shortcut? Absolutely not. Here comes the hard road. Oh, you want an easy way out? No way. Here comes the hardest way you ever had to face in your life. And you know what? That reminds me of when I ended up going bankrupt in 2013 and I ended up getting fired from two jobs in the same week. And what happened is when I came to Raleigh, bankrupt, broke, no money, and having to start over from complete rock bottom, what happened was I was still not facing the storm. I was still running from it. I was still saying, it wasn't my fault. The business went under. It was my partner's fault, my employees, my client, the developer. It was everybody's fault but Marques. And finally, when I hit rock bottom and I had nowhere to go but to face myself and face the reality that I put myself here, right, Amanda? When that happened, I had either one main choice, honestly. You could say two, but I really didn't have another choice. I had to face that storm because I could not put my head in the sand because in reality, I was sitting on concrete. So putting my head down wasn't going to get me anywhere. So I only had one choice, which was to keep getting up and keep fighting. And that's when I told myself, I'm going to face the storm. I'm going to try to speak. I'm going to face the storm by finding my soulful purpose and living a better life and trying to help others. Now, I never said facing the storm was going to be easy. I never said that. Because when I faced the storm for 2.5 years, right, Amanda, still no paid job. Not one. Every job was free. But I never gave up and I kept charging into that storm, into that havoc, into that, you know, ferocity and that ferocious type of, environment. And eventually I got my first paid job in 2016. In 2017, I got my second paid job. 2018, I got coached by some very great people, one of them being Mel Robbins. I was on her audiobook, Kick Ass with Mel, and I got coached by a program at Penn State. And then I learned the business and I was able to continue facing challenges head on. And from 2016 to the present, we've worked for over 90 Fortune 500 clients. Of the 90, over 20 are Fortune 100, like New York Life, MetLife, Siemens, Cisco, Home Depot, Amazon, just to name a few, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, just to name a few of our Fortune 100 clients. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I did not start out this way, not at all. And probably within the last 2 years is when I really understood this mindset because I saw one of my really great friends, Pastor Corey Smith. He had part of his sermon on social media and he talked about the bison and he talked about how the bison truly is the only animal that charges directly into the eye of the storm. And the best part of this, Amanda, is I'm a Howard University Bison graduate. Again, I am a Howard University Bison graduate. And when I got inducted to Howard's Athletic Hall of Fame, they gifted me a bronze bison, which I have in the man cave of my home to this day.
What strikes me is here you are inducted into Howard's Hall of Fame. You had great successes. How did you deal with being humble and the circumstances that you found yourself in? How did that sit with you? What did you reach for?
So when I was going through my bankruptcy, what I reached for was refining my purpose, refining my soul, and living a life full of inspiration, purpose, and passion. Because what happened is I ended up pursuing and chasing money in my construction business, and I achieved it. But because I never really loved it, I never really wanted to really do it. I just wanted to make money and that's it. I had no real inspiration behind it. It was just motivation. And I tell people, if you're just motivated for something, at some point you will burn out. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So for so long, I was living a very shallow, very personality ethics, things like rage, wrath, lust, envy, jealousy. I was all about myself. I was all about money. I can call those things external motivating factors, cars, boats, toys, all these things that are what we call, worldly possessions,
Yeah.
not faith-based possessions or soul-filled, real, true possessions.
Yeah.
And I ended up just getting so caught up in things that didn't matter that eventually it became my whole world. I got wrapped up in it and I couldn't get out. And I ended up losing everything because of getting wrapped up in things that truly didn't matter. So today, when I do what I do, I've been doing this now for 12 and a half years. Like I said, the first 2.5 years, not one paid job, but I never ever quit. I never ever gave up. I never ever stopped going after what I wanted. And today, what we do is we speak for, I don't know, people like, just take Mass Mutual, one of our premier clients, or
Wow.
Trucordia. But Mass Mutual is known by pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This year actually was funny. Amanda, this is Mass Mutual's 175th anniversary. 175th. They were founded in 1851, and their entire theme for this year, a legacy of purpose, creates a future of possibilities. And that's what I'm reaching for today in a soul filled type of way, helping people to either find their purpose, refine their purpose, align their purpose, and live a life where when they do that, when you live a purpose filled life, the future is full of endless possibilities.
Do you think, I'm wondering because you stuck to it, you then gained all of these clients. What do you think it was that kind of made that shift? What do you think it was?
What happened is once I learned how to deliver value for clients, that's when things took off to the next level. If you're listening to this awesome podcast and you want to be a speaker, I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice. Number 1, if you're going to speak for a client, please have your presentation tied back in some way, shape, or form to their theme. Okay? It has to. Because if you do a talk, let's say you get hired for mindset, but your talk is more leadership focused or sales focused or culture focused, that's not going to help the client because the client wants you to talk about mindset or grit or overcoming obstacles. And what happens is if you end up not tying your message back to their theme, what happens is you end up getting listed as a speaker who doesn't know how to connect and add value to your clients. Trust me, I've been there. I did that one time for a client, spoke for them, and boy, oh boy, I was not on theme, and the client let me know it. And I took that feedback, I applied it, and I did better the next time, and I never forgot it. That's number 1. Number 2, please create PowerPoints for each client. Don't use the same PowerPoint over and over and over again. Because clients want to feel special. They want to feel unique. They want to feel that you created something just for them. Because what happens is the client feels an amazing sense of customer experience, which means from the beginning of the process all the way to the end, you delivered high value. And number three, please, as a speaker, always speak for the allotted time you were hired for. If you're hired for an hour, don't speak for 52 minutes. I did that one time at a job and it absolutely came back to bite me in the booty. Luckily, I was able to work through it and I learned, and it set me back, but I learned, and now today I know how to speak on point. For example, right, Amanda, I did a job on Wednesday of this week in Danville, Virginia for a client. It was a 3-hour workshop on AI from 9 to 12. It was about 11:50. I was set to go the entire to 12. The client said, okay, Marcus, I want you to know you got 5 more minutes and then it's time to wrap up. So I was prepared to go until 12 o'clock on the dot. But the client said, Marcus, you have 5 minutes to go because they were running a raffle right before lunch and they wanted to make sure everybody knew where lunch was, all that stuff. No problem. Like, hey, 2 hours, 55 minutes over 3 hours, great for me. But I was prepared to talk from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. and not finish at 11:58 or 11:59, 12. So I'm going to tell you those are 3 big pieces of advice. Stay on theme. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, create PowerPoints that are customized for each client. And number 3, speak for the allotted time you were hired to speak.
Marcus, can I ask, do you like what you do and what do you like about what you do?
The answer to your question is no, I don't like what I do. I love what I do. And the thing is, it is my purpose. It is my passion. And what I love most is when I see light bulbs cut on, quote unquote, in people's mind through a keynote speech. For example, I'll take the job in Danville. It was on AI. It was my first ever in-person talk on AI. How about that, man? It was a 3-hour workshop. There was one guy in there who was adamantly against AI. Older gentleman, super nice guy, but just, oh, I'm my way for 30 years. I love my paper. I love my pen. I love my this. I love my that. And it was great. By the end of the 3-hour workshop, I could see where he saw, wow, AI can help me. And as I told everybody throughout the presentation, right, Amanda, AI is a tool. It is not the end all. AI should not be your entire system.
Right.
AI is a part of your system. That's what it is. It should be helping you to get accomplished a lot of what I call the low revenue generating activities. Back end stuff, research, organization, email automation, all these things. But I always tell people, whatever AI does for you, until you have it where you want it to be, and you know that through multiple testing, have a human verify it. Trust AI, but verify. And so by the end of the talk, Amanda, I could see, and he actually walked up to me and said, Marcus, I'm going to tell you, best 3-hour workshop I've ever been in. It moved quickly. It was well run. And again, that was my first one on AI, but I've been doing this long enough. I know how to pull people in. Like I said, in a 3-hour workshop, it wasn't just me speaking all the time and like it was very interactive. It was getting people that are in the room involved. That's what really makes the most beneficial need.
So if I'm talking to 8-year-old Marcus, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a financial planner and I wanted to follow my dad's footsteps and work in the finance industry because I idolized my dad and I went to Howard University. I ended up graduating with a degree in finance.
And then because I'm looking at your background, you have NFL, you have entrepreneur, you have coaching. How did the NFL fit? And if you look at all of the roles that you've had in your career, what felt most authentic?
So the NFL came about because my last couple of years in college, I got really, really good at football. And I was able to showcase my size. I'm 6'5", 6'5.5". At the time, probably 310 pounds. I could move gracefully. I was strong. I understood the position. I understood the game. And I was able to excel. And I got drafted from Howard University to the National Football League. And I ended up becoming an entrepreneur because after my NFL career was over, my dad had passed away and the NFL was gone. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something and try my hand in business. And fortunately, I'm going to call it, I got into something I had no experience in. Construction was not for me, but it did well at the time. I made a lot of money and then I ended up losing it all because of my ego. And honestly, Amanda, I didn't know anything about construction. I was way over my head in the industry. But without construction, without the story, without the loss, without all the hardships, I don't feel my story would relate to people as well because very few people can relate to being a professional athlete, especially in the National Football League. But a
Right.
lot of people can relate to being a business owner, a failed business owner or a business owner that went through life lessons. So that's where this has become a huge part of our business because in every keynote that I deliver, every single one, my story comes out. Upbringing, the rise, the fall, the comeback. When I do speaking, even yesterday or Wednesday for PIA in Virginia, I still told my story. It was a lot around AI, innovation, leadership, values. But every time I speak for a keynote, every time that story, without a doubt, my custom suit story is always going to be told.
You talk about your dad and you said I'm so sorry, by the way, for your loss.
Thank you.
Can you share maybe something he taught you that you still take with you today?
Mm. Our dad taught us how to be resilient under pressure. And that is something that I really truly am grateful for between our father and the National Football League.
Mhm.
I have learned how to be resilient under pressure because in business, it's not going to always go your way. You're
Yeah.
not going to always sign the client. You're not going to always get the job.
Yeah.
You're not going to always have, plentiful seasons. It's going to be pressure. It's going to be
Yeah.
hard. I went through a divorce in 2022. Almost 4 years ago, I filed for divorce. That was not easy. That
No.
was not planned. That was not something I ever saw coming. That was pressure. Having to stay in the house until I was able to move out. Moving into an apartment that was dilapidated, run down, because I only had 2 weeks to find a 2-bedroom, fully furnished apartment for me and my daughter to move into. I had no furniture. My ex kept it all. I had nothing. I was just starting over from complete scratch, complete bottom. That's pressure.
Yeah.
But because of our father and what he taught us, I learned how to be resilient under pressure and not allow pressure to dictate me making bad moves because I'm so anxious or stress filled that I make bad decisions and I make a bad situation even worse. So our father, Amanda, was excellent at teaching us how to be resilient under pressure.
That's a powerful lesson. And I don't think, I think it's one of those things that we kind of need because life is hard. Life is not just a series of, rose petals, and resilience is one of those things. I think that will serve you well. Get authentic with Marques Ogden, your podcast.
Mhm.
Why get authentic? What does that mean to you?
So Being authentic means to me being who you are in the moment, knowing that the moment is going to change. What I mean by that is we should all be advancing in our life. If we're not advancing, that means we're being stagnant. If you're being stagnant, you might as well be dying or you are dying. So to me, being authentic means knowing who you are in the moment, knowing that the moment is going to change because we should never stay the same. And I was tired, Amanda, of some people always posting on social media that their life is full of glitz and glamour and vacations and amazing resorts, suites, and hotels and jets and cars and this and that and
Yeah.
people putting on filters constantly because they want to look a certain
Right.
way and all that type of stuff. And again, I am totally okay if you want to like go and do a surgery to fix yourself or feel better about yourself. That's fine. I got no problem with that. If you do that, that's fine. But what I'm saying is if you continuously do a filter, right? Why not just go and do what you want to do and then put a picture out that's really you? Again, don't just do one thing, do it how you want to be, right? I have no problem with people wanting to change their appearance, look a certain way. Totally okay. But do it in a way that's real, right? Just be who you want to be and be
Yeah.
okay with that. And don't worry what anybody else says. If people are going to talk about you, I always tell our clients, people are going to talk bad about you regardless of what you do. If
Yeah.
they're going to talk bad about you, they're just going to do it. Period. So just be you. I do very well in our business now. Our podcast is in the top 0.5% in the world most popular. We're growing. We're getting more support. We're getting more amazing guests. But I'll tell you like this. I'm the guy also when I first started it, almost nobody would come on to the show. Nobody. And we had, I mean, man, you're coming on to our show. You see now we have a process.
Yeah.
We have workflow. We have a huge backlog of people that are scheduled to be on our show. And it's amazing. But I'm never going to tell you right here that it's always been that way because
Right.
it has not been. And if I told you that, that's being disingenuous and that's not being authentic. So we came up with get authentic because we wanted people to start living their life for the real them. Be honest, be real, be you. Don't try to just do something to fit in. Just be who you are.
You've had conversations with many guests on many podcasts. Is there kind of a thread where you say this is a commonality that all people have? Have you noticed anything in all of your interviews?
So the people that we have interviewed that have lived their life for them and stop trying to be what everybody else wants them to be are people that are living their best life.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. And I tell people that's what it comes down to. You have to be happy with yourself. If everybody loves you, but you don't love yourself, you lose. That's what I'm saying. I have no problem. People want to do surgeries, change their appearance, fine. But as long as you love yourself before you did the surgery and after, then I'm fine. But don't love yourself before. Go and do something that, oh, why did I do that? I don't like how I look. I hate myself. Like, well, then why did you do it? Right? Or what, or if you're going to do that, please make sure you're going to work with somebody that you like that's going to give you what you want. And I tell you all the time, it goes back to the schoolyard rule. You get what you pay for, right? In life, learn to invest in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Invest in you. If you don't invest in you, who will? So make that a top priority in your life. Invest in yourself because the only person you're going to be around 24/7, the only person, I don't care if you're married, kids, doesn't matter. The only person you're going to be around 24/7 is that person looking back at you in the mirror. It's the only person.
Now, Marcus, I'm going to just ask my random soulful questions.
Let's
You
go.
can answer, you can pass, all good. Is there a book that has impacted you or that you think others should read?
The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. I'm a huge fan. Bob Berg is a personal friend of mine. Bob is actually going to write a blurb for my new book coming out called Built from the Storm, the Bison Operating System. So Bob's book, The Go-Giver, his laws of how to live your life have been huge in my life. And law number one, the law of value. Give far more value than you ever take and or receive in payment. When you live like that, life is good.
Do you have a favorite movie or series or show? And if so, why?
Oh, 100% Rocky, without a doubt. I can watch Rocky over and over and over again because it's a great story of overcoming adversity, hardship, obstacles. And it's a great story of how you have to learn to believe in yourself, even when others don't believe you. Like in Rocky 2, when in Rocky's own trainer, Nicky, didn't want to train him for the fight against Apollo. He said, oh, well, fine, I'm going to do it, and sign up for it, and did it on his own. And then, of course, Nicky came around saying, yeah, let's work together. But, Rocky always bet on himself, right? Even when, Adrian didn't want him to do it, or Nicky, or whomever, he always bet on himself. So, without a doubt, Rocky is my favorite series.
If you wake up and you are not feeling it, you're just not inspired, or maybe you're overwhelmed, what do you turn to?
The gym, working out to release endorphins and get myself in a better headspace and get myself clear and focused and ready to go and feeling like the best version of myself. Because after I'm done in the gym and I've accomplished that, well, my workout's done for the day. Woo, what's next?
That's great.
That gets me going in the right direction.
What do you think, if anything, people get wrong about you?
Oh, they think that football was always planned, and it wasn't. I got one scholarship offer to play football after high school to the Howard University Bison. I loved it, and I always wanted to play football at my dad's alma mater because my dad went to Howard as well. But
Love that.
when I went to Howard, I was like, okay, I want to be a financial planner. That was always my dream. And then going into my last 2 years, the NFL started to kind of sniff around campus, started to come and watch me at practice. I'm like, I can maybe do this. I called my brother, who at the time was in the NFL. He was the Baltimore Ravens' first draft pick ever. And then getting him to tell me what was going on, I'm like, I can do this. So I ended up pursuing it after a few years in college, recognizing I had what it takes to be a professional athlete. So that's what people get wrong. They think I always wanted to be an NFL athlete. In reality, that came about probably about the last 2 years of my collegiate career.
If you could have dinner with 3 people, they could be people that you know, people that you knew, they could be living or deceased, they could be historical or famous, what 3 people would you have to dinner and why?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. And I'm gonna throw one more in there. Okay. So I've got Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. I've got Gandhi.
Yeah.
I've got Nelson Mandela, and I've got Mother Teresa. Because all 4 of those people contrasted society by saying that the way the world is now could be better off if we did this.
Wow.
Dr. King said if we could stop with segregation and hate, we have a better world. Mother Teresa said if we can feed the poor, we'd have a better world. Gandhi said, love thy neighbors, they love themselves. Better world. Nelson Mandela, stop apartheid. Better world. They were constantly contrasting the way the world views things or the way people at the time viewed the world. They're saying, well, the world's this way, but we can be better by doing this. So I love those 4 individuals because as speakers, humanitarians, philanthropists, they all challenged or contrasted how the world was and said, if we do it this way, the world will be a much better place.
Well, please film it if that ever happens.
If it ever happens, I'll be in trouble. So,
That's true.
right. So, I mean, I'm not here. So,
You make a good point. Okay, so this podcast is called SolFul Connections, and it's under a larger umbrella that I have called Soulful Living. What does soulful living mean to you? When you hear that phrase, what does that mean for
I'll
you?
make it real simple. Live your life with purpose. Live your life for a cause greater than yourself. Just like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Princess Diana. I could go on and on. Purpose-driven people, all they care about is serving causes greater than themselves. Dr. King, segregation. Nelson Mandela, apartheid. Mother Teresa, world hunger. Gandhi, peace to all. And Princess Diana was all about just making the common person feel like royalty, just like her. And that is what it's all about.
Marcus, I'm thankful for all that you shared. I know you have more to share. I will put a link to both your podcast and your website in our show notes so that people can find you. And I thank you so much for what you do in the world and for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Thank you for being a valued part of the Soulful community. Thank you to William Aronson for writing, recording, and producing the Soulful Connections theme song. And finally, always know you're not alone. We are connected. We're all in this thing together. And you and your story are important. Let's just keep on connecting.